Welcome to another episode of Delay the Decay with Dan Hardy. So glad to have you with me today. We're going to do something a little bit different this week, and I'm going to just catch you up on some of the happenings in my life. I have a slate of fantastic guests coming up in the next few weeks, but I thought it would be good just to stop and have you get more acquainted with me, your host, and the way I live my life, things that I'm experiencing. Both the highs and the lows, and the living out my motto. It's about direction, not perfection. So there's a lot on my mind today. I hope you are able to be encouraged and just sit back and enjoy. We're not going to be long today. Usually my episodes are about an hour long. When I started off on this venture about 6 months ago, I really thought that the episodes would be 30 to 40 minutes, but in order to really tap into who my guests are and what they represent, I feel like it takes a good hour. This season of my life is good. I really love our rhythms in this kind of post-retirement, whatever retirement means. Retirement means to me that I have flexibility to choose who I want to work with, choose what I want to do, really set the schedule of my day. And I don't take that for granted. We've been traveling some over the last month, traveling actually more than we travel. We were 2 weeks in Europe and it was great. But what we have found, both Nancy and I have found, is that we like traveling with a purpose. And sometimes a purpose is just to relax, sit on our tails, read a book, and soak in the sun, go on long walks. That's great. Other times it's to be with people. And Europe was kind of a combination of both. We went out for the primary purpose to be a part of the 20-year anniversary of the Mayak network of churches in the Czech Republic and Slovakia. We were able to, by God's grace, be a small part of what God did out there, and we're a part of it for 20 years. And so we were invited to come out and just be a part of that. And there were so many people that we knew and we love and that have had a big part of our life. So it was really good to be there. And then we were in Budapest, Hungary for 5 days, and Bari, Italy, on the Adriatic Sea for another 5 days. And they were wonderful. I think Budapest might be my favorite city on the planet right now. It's just beautiful with the different bridges that go across the Danube River. It's a very clean city, a lot of modern transportation. The people are nice. A lot of prosperity there. I was really surprised. And Bari, Italy is great as well. It's one of my mom's favorite places. She's been to Italy probably 25 or 30 times. Her father was actually born in Italy, and Bari's it's her favorite city. And we loved it there. And we got back last Tuesday from visiting our youngest son, Joey, his wife, Brittany, and their 3 beautiful boys. And we spent a week with them, and it was just great. Their oldest had his tonsils out, and so we were there just to bring them some support. They're very easy to be with, and it's kind of a home away from home for us. I've got favorite coffee shops there, favorite breweries. I've got a favorite gym. Shout out to 2020 Fit, such a good place. If you're ever in Overland Park, visit there. But here's the deal. I'm still in process. And I think that's why I like the motto, direction, not perfection. We are all people in process. And I think it's important to acknowledge that. We will never arrive, but we just keep growing. We keep growing and submitting ourselves to God's plan, walking in humility, asking for forgiveness, forgiving others, and just taking the next best step. I want to give you a couple examples of a man in process at my age, and one is at a workout last week. It had some of my worst movements. One is the assault bike. The other is wall balls. And there was a third movement. It was lat sit-ups, where you take the medicine ball and you do sit-ups behind your head, which is not it's actually one of my favorite. But the assault bike and wall balls suck the life out of me. and it was 5 rounds. I think it was 20 calories on the bike. It was 20 wall balls, and it was 20 lat sit-ups with the wall ball. And my wife Nancy was doing it with me as well. By the way, she is a rock star. I'll tell you a little bit more about her in just a minute. But after the third round, really after the second round, I was sucking wind. And after the third round, I quit. I quit the workout. I walked out of the gym. I didn't throw anything. I wasn't mad. I think I was frustrated, and my pride got in the way because I knew I was going to be hurting, maybe even vomiting after round 5. And I was pretty sure that I would finish in last place, which I don't enjoy doing. I don't know why, because that's not important. It's showing up that's important. So I left the gym. I went on a walk around the parking lot, and I timed it so that I could walk back in the gym when the workout was over. And I walked back in, and there was still one person doing the workout, and it was my wife, Nancy. So in essence, by me not wanting to finish last, I threw my wife under the bus rather than staying alongside her and finishing the workout. So the moral of the story, I'm not sure what the moral of the story is put your ego aside, show up at the gym. You don't need to do a certain RX weight or RX number of repetitions. Just show up and do the work, and don't worry about if you finish first or if you finish last. And by the way, I showed up the next day and I did the workout. I'm going to keep showing up and delaying the decay. I told you last time we did a monologue, I think I told you this, that I needed hearing aids. On a Saturday, I got my hearing aids. And as I was walking out of the Costco parking lot wearing the hearing aids, a young guy drove by and said, "Hey, nice hearing aids." He didn't. But I was so self-conscious. And so I have worn them off and on this week. I've not worn them to the gym because that wouldn't be helpful. I wore them when we played cards with my sister and her husband. I wore them to church last Sunday. And I'm getting used to them. And I still feel self-conscious, but I keep reminding myself is that the priority for me in living this prioritized life is being present with people and hearing what they're saying rather than just sitting across a table or in an auditorium, seeing a mouth move, catching every other word. So I am a proud wearer of hearing aids so that I can love people better. Something else I'm processing, and if you know me, I've used this Latin word before, and it's memento mori. Memento mori means remember death. And I think it's important for us to remember death. David says, "Lord, teach me to number my days, that I might gain a heart of wisdom." When we live as if there is a tomorrow and a next week and a next year for us and for others, we don't tend to live intentionally, and we don't tend to love well. So we have a very good friend that has impacted us. She is 91, I think, and she is in hospice right now. And it's hard to see her there. She is a shell of herself. She still is a jabberbox, talks a lot, remembers a lot of her life. She asks about us when we show up to visit her, but she is in the last days of her life. And when she takes her last breath, she will go through the doorway to heaven, that she will no longer be here in this body that is decaying, but she will be in a renewed body. And one day, she, along with all who have put their faith and trust in Jesus, will enjoy a recreated creation as well. So memento mori. I've got reminders all over my study. I've got a sign that a friend at church made for me. I've got a couple of skulls. I've got this poster that I've talked about that has every week of a person's life that lives 100, and I can look at the weeks that I've lived so far, and then how many weeks I have left if I were to live to 100. And it's a stark reality. So it takes courage, but I would encourage you to look death in the face. Number your days. Ask God to teach you to number your days so that you might gain a greater heart of wisdom and that you might love people better. I've been coaching in this season of life. When I set out to coach, I really didn't want to have more than 5 clients. I just don't want to be busied up just checking boxes with 20 coaching clients. Right now I have 5 and I enjoy it immensely. And my sweet spot is that I really want to encourage and equip people to honestly examine themselves, examine their lives, examine their business, and ask the question, am I becoming the person that I see in the future? Am I becoming who I want to be? Is my business becoming what I envisioned it to become when I started it? Or my ministry? Is it becoming the entity that I envisioned? And then asking questions along the way. I'm very much an assessment-based coach. We need to take an honest reflection of ourselves and the organizations that we lead and ask honest questions. What's right? What's wrong? What's confusing? And what's missing? I believe this so wholeheartedly that I wrote an assessment. I designed and wrote an assessment about 6 months ago that I use for the 40-day fight that we're going to talk about in a minute. And I'm also going to start using it more and more in my coaching. It's called the 5 Life Domains Assessment. And it's a 50-question assessment that has 10 questions in each of the 5 life domains: spiritual, relational, physical, mental, and financial. And what it does, it just simply identifies hotspots, opportunities for growth. So if you are interested in taking that assessment, let me know. I can get it to you for free. Also, if you run an organization or you're in the leadership of an organization, or if you're just a leader who wants to grow, I would encourage you to take a Leadership 360. And what Leadership 360 is that you would identify 6 or 7 people who know you really well. These would be people that are all around you, people you report to, your peers, and maybe people that report to you. It could be a good thing to do in a family, actually, dads, to have maybe your wife and who you report to, your wife and your kids take this Leadership 360. And then we have a questionnaire. And the questionnaire just asks people how they see you showing up in different situations. And then we write a report that gives you helpful ideas and hotspots, growth opportunities. So I would encourage you to check that out. There's many ways to do that. You can just Google it and find it, or if I can help you with that, let me know as well. This podcast that you are listening to or watching right now on YouTube, I don't know how you are engaging right now. I made a 1-year commitment. We are, I don't know what we are. We're 35, 36 episodes in. I committed to do episodes every single week. I told my wife that if I could do anything, it would be to just have coffee with people, hear their stories, ask good questions, and encourage them to live the life that God has created them to live. And I get to do that on the podcast. So would you do me a favor? Would you either, if you know me personally, text me, email me, give me a call. If you don't know me personally, just leave something in the show notes that this has been helpful. And also share it and like it as well. If you have any ways that I can improve, I have a desire to speak more, to speak at events, functions, retreats. I've got a couple of subjects that I think could be really compelling for groups of people, particularly groups of people who want to grow. And one of the talks is just living the prioritized life that I'm going to talk about in just a minute. I do a lot of creating and dreaming. Even at this stage of life, my retirement has different rhythms. It's enjoying time with my wife and my kids and my grandkids and people that God has providentially put in my life. Our gym is a big part of that. And then the rest of the time, when I'm not coaching, I'm not podcasting, I'm creating and I'm dreaming about transformational tools that would be beneficial to leaders who are trying to lead better, love deeper, and live longer. The 40-day fight is one of these transformational tools. The 40-day fight, if you don't know, is a 40-day transformation journey where it happens 5 times a year. It happens in the new year in January. We just finished one in Lent. We have one starting up in June, on June 1st. We have one in the fall, and then we have an Advent fight. And we have written devotions, different devotions for each of these 5 fights. And my vision for it, and let me back up just a minute. This idea for a 40-day fight was not born in my heart. Delay the Decay was born in my heart when I was on a trip to Africa, but I didn't know what to do with Delay the Decay. Insert Joby Lewis, a friend of mine. I've known him for about 8 years through our gym. He had told me about this idea that he had called the 40-day fight, and he launched it. I thought it was a great idea, and then I inserted myself last fall of 2025, and just said, hey, Joby, this is a great idea. I think we can make it even better. Would you entertain a partnership in this? And Joby, being the gracious guy he is, he said, absolutely. So we've been partnering on this thing. And my vision for it is that we, in 2027, that there's 5,000 people that participate in it. It is a fantastic tool. Like I said, we have the devotions that we've written that are delivered through a CRM via text and email. All 40 days of the fight. We've created a robust community platform that has a place for people to encourage one another and to be accountable to one another. There's also robust resources on there that we're building for each of the 5 life domains, everything from a macro counter to Bible reading plans to planning and tracking helps for you. It's really awesome. The next one, as I mentioned, is coming up in June. And we have written a devotion called 40 Days in the Psalms. And we are, and you can pray for me on this, the hope is to have both an e-copy and a hard copy by the time it launches on June 1st. It's written and it's excellent. It is so well done, but now we just need to get it formatted, get it edited, a few graphics into it, get it printed, get it bound so it's ready by June 1st. And it's going to be great. So you'll still get the email and the text, but you'll also get a ebook, a PDF, and then you'll have the opportunity for a small additional investment. We just want to break even on it to have the hard copy, so you can have it right there in your lap when you're doing the daily devotion. I have a book that I want to write. I have a couple books I want to write. The book that I want to write, the first is Life's Transitions, or Turning Points, or Seasons. At this stage of life, there's been so many turning points in my life. If you go all the way back to job changes, graduating kids from high school, marrying kids off, grandkids, changing jobs again, broken relationships, all of that. And there's not a ton out there written on this, particularly from a Christian perspective. And I want to say this. I talked to a guy on the phone yesterday, and we were talking about his transition from a ministry. And I talked about some of my transitions, and they're not the healthiest. We really don't know how to send people out, and we don't know how to live well. And so questions like, should the primary leader stay at the organization that he or she led, or should they go? What are some of the principles that help people think through this. What should a separation package look like, whether it be somebody that's being let go or somebody that's retiring, particularly in the Christian realm? Also, somebody shared this with me a while back, and it really stuck, that in every transition, there's loss. In every transition, even the best of transitions, you are losing something. And it's important to think about what it is that you're losing so that you can process that in a healthy way with the Lord and with others. And I want to close on this. Everything I do revolves around living a prioritized life. It's not around work-life balance. Work-life balance is frustrating. What we can do is we can live a prioritized life. And let me just tell you what the 5 priorities are and the order. It's spiritual, relational, physical, mental, and financial. And oftentimes, and this happened in my life a couple of times, we are so bent and so driven to make money. And money's neutral. It's not evil. But that we sacrifice our relationship with the Lord. We sacrifice our relationship with the people that God has providentially put in our life. First and foremost, our spouse and our children and our grandchildren. We sacrifice our body. There's so many people I know that have spent decades building a net worth, but their health is a mess. And then the next is mental health. I'm not sure what I think about the phrase mental health, but here's what I do know, is that protecting our minds and stewarding our minds is of vital importance. And then the finances follow. And living the prioritized life is not so much, in my opinion, as making money, even though we need to, but it's being generous with what we're making. When much is given, much is expected. So I want to just walk you through this in my day. Every day in the morning, and there's exceptions to this. When we were in Kansas City with 3 little boys running around, I think I hit this 3 out of 7 days. But every day when I'm at home or I'm on vacation, I start the day by reading the Bible. And for me, what I'm doing right now is I'm reading through the Bible chronologically. Not chronologically as the events happened, but chronologically as the books were written. And it has been so good. It's been so good. And then I journal after that. I've not been a regular journaler all my life, but it is so life-giving. And my journals are in the way of a prayer to the Lord. I just process with the Lord either what I just read, what I'm walking into, things that I'm dealing with, I'm struggling with, my dreams, my hopes, and then just submitting it all to Him. And then relational. Relational is love the Lord your God with all of your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And then secondly, what? Love your neighbor as yourself. That's everybody else, particularly those that God has put in proximity with you. And I want to prioritize people, particularly my people, the people that God has put in my life, family, friends, and then others that God is bringing in that I want to pay attention to. But it makes decisions easy. For example, I don't miss many of my grandkids' soccer games, basketball games, football games, plays. We're going to be going to a play tonight. And that is first and foremost for me. So I put those on the calendar first. And then physical, every day, well, Monday through Friday for sure, I'd say 50% of the Saturdays, I'm at the gym. I don't schedule appointments before 10 a.m. because my gym time is 8:30 to 10. Well, I make exceptions for that for people that I'm coaching and others that God has providentially put in my life where they can't meet any other time. Of course I will. So these are principles. Living a prioritized life is living a principled life. It's God first, others second, our bodies third, and then mental health is important. And I would put getting good sleep, reading, having a hobby. For me, very much a lot of things that I'm thinking about in the way of writing a book and creating the 40-day fight, some things I have with Delay to Decay. I am using my mind constantly. So particularly for you all that maybe have built a business, kids are out of the house, If you don't have a hobby, or you're not thinking about the next thing, it could even be a crossword puzzle. It could be learning a language or learning an instrument. I started learning Spanish in January through Duolingo. I sprinted for 3 months and I've flamed out the last few months. I want to pick that up again. And then finances. Certainly be a good steward of what God has given you. If you're not living on a budget, get on a budget. I don't care how much you make or how much you have. It's important to think through the buckets of money that are coming in and how are you going to spend that. And I want to encourage you that living life to the full is not just accumulating, but more than that, it's giving. It's being generous. So anyway, I just rambled. I don't even know how long I rambled for, but I rambled. It's good to be with you. This life is amazing. Jesus came to give us life and life abundantly. And I believe the way that Christians experience life to the full or the abundant life is not by coasting, but by intentionally living out the prioritized life: spiritual, relational, physical, mental, and financial. Again, if you're benefiting from it, please like it, share it, shoot me a text, an email, make a comment. If there's any ways that we can improve, let me know as well. If there are any guests that you'd like to see me have on and interview, let me know that as well. And look for some great guests coming up in the next couple of weeks. So remember, take that next step in the healthy direction. Spiritually, relationally, physically, mentally, or financially. What's the next best step? Don't worry about 10 steps down the road. Don't get hung up on perfection, but just take the next step in the right and healthiest direction. God bless. Have a great week.